Hello, my name is Jaiye. You on the Jamin Show. My guest today is Kelly Nelson. Hi, Kelly. Welcome to the show today.
Hi, yes, I'm Kelsey. So great to
Oh,
meet you and all your listeners.
absolutely. So I wanted to have you on the show today. Okay, so I guess my question is, how did you get started in sports, and how did that interest you?
Of course. So I think my journey in sports started when I was so young. I have always been a sports fan. I like to describe myself as a daddy's girl. I have a girl dad, and my dad was a passionate sports fan. Sports runs in my family. I have a Southern family. So that means sports and church are the two big things that we do, right? We go to church, we love church. And then, of course, we love our football, basketball, and everything else. And so I think following my dad went to Grambling State University. If you know about Grambling State and the storied history of HBCUs and Eddie Robinson and Doug Williams and so on, that's what I grew up in. And so I always like to say I grew up in the world of HBC sports. And, I've never been disconnected to sports. And so growing up with my dad, going to all these different games, even here in Maryland. So I used to spend my summers down south, but I'd spend, of course, the school year here in the DMV area. We go to Ravens training camp in Westminster, Maryland at McDaniel College. We go to Wizards and Mystics games when we got tickets to go to games. And then I played a bunch of sports. And so for me, it's like I got into sports because it was always around me. And I like to say I'm a naturally competitive person. I always like kind of being in the game. I like how sports bring people around. And I was never not doing sports. Like I played a sport every season. I was always trying to find a way to stay active. And so honestly, maybe I'd say sports found me. Like when I was a baby early on, again, it just like, how you just know you love something and stuff comes natural to you. That's what sports are for me. And so I have to thank my dad for kind of starting that train. But I think since then, sports have just been a train that keeps on moving for me and opportunities just keep coming. And now I can't imagine myself away from the game.
That's one of it, because I've met some sports stars myself, like Shaquille O'Neal, yeah. And so
Awesome.
I got to meet any sports stars since as a reporter.
So like for me, like becoming a sports reporter, I mean, what better job is there? I get to cover sports for a living, right? And get paid to do it. So get paid to be at games, get paid to do player interviews. And for me, like sports reporting is something that combines my love of sports and my love of journalism. And so I love sports, but also when I was younger, I was always writing. And so I was a kid that I love when we had assignments to do long essays, like long form writing was my thing. And I was doing oratory contests. I used to do a lot of poetry and spoken word, also another one of my passions. And so I've always loved journalism. I'd be watching the news with my parents, finding out what's going on. And I remember as a little girl, kind of like what we're doing, I remember looking at the TV and into that camera and just saying, wow, that one person is reaching millions of people and has the power to control story and a narrative. And I thought that was the most powerful thing, because what do we pass down? What do we learn from future generations? It's history. And history is passed down through what? Spoken word and through what we write. And so for me, what we write is so powerful. And I think words have so many meanings. So again, I love journalism. In high school, I got into writing for the newspaper. In middle school, I was writing for my yearbook. And then in high school, I became a yearbook editor-in-chief. Did that 2 years, was news managing editor, and just had a great support system. And again, writing, that was always my strong classes. So for me, like when we did tests in school, the writing portion was always like the one I was definitely gonna ace and like just be well at, because I'm very good with like, I have a lot of thoughts and getting like pen to paper. And then of course the sports side, again, becoming a sports reporter for me was just natural, because my two big loves, went to a big sports school in the University of Maryland where we had a lot of great sports that I could cover, Fear the Turtle and Go Terps, and just kind of got to continue on telling that story. And so I think for me, like falling in love as a sports reporter and seeing that I could make a career of it. So fun fact about me, I actually started Maryland as a psychology major, because though I loved journalism in high school, I had let a lot of people get in my ear and said, Kelsey, journalists don't make money. And of course, I'm a high school student and I didn't come from money. I was like, well, I want to make money. So I was like, okay, well, I like crime shows and psychology seems like a cool job. And I'm really good with like people. And so I'll start with that. But I remember sitting in my classes at Maryland, and there was no spark. I didn't feel anything, right? There was just, I was in the classes, I was passing them, but the passion wasn't there. And if you can see now, I have a passion when I talk because I love what I do. Lo and behold, I switch into the journalism major and click, everything goes off and everything's just natural. And of course, so when I'm in the arenas, it feels natural. When I'm interviewing athletes, it feels natural, because to me, sports is home. And so for me, being a sports reporter, I'm working in my dream job, and I'm working in a job that's really home for me, home for my interests, home for my heart. And it's pretty much the home where I always want to be. And so I kind of just fell into it. Again, many great mentors along the way, many great people believing in me. I've covered all types of sports as a sports reporter early on, high school sports, college sports, women's women's football, women's lingerie football, arena league football. I've done it all, minor league football, like pretty much anything that's out there I've covered or I've played. And so for me being a sports reporter, it's just kind of getting all of my history and now turning it into a job.
Wow, that's a blessing to hear. Yeah. Yeah. So what inspires you to do what you do? What gets you inspiration to do what you do?
Oh my gosh, I think my inspiration is like, I remember growing up and I didn't get to always see faces that look like mine and yours. And I always was like, well, why is that? You know, like we have so much to say. And so I'm very big into diversity. And so one of my mentors, James Brown, said my favorite quote, diversity wins and inclusion matters. And so my inspiration every day is just saying that there still needs to be so much more diversity in sports. There still needs to be more women voices in sports. We still need to amplify Black women voices in sports. You know, I'm like, so every day I work, I'm reminded that I'm still a minority, and really a double minority, being African-American and a female in this space. And I want to make sure that our stories are heard, our stories are represented, and that I'm able to give a unique perspective. So my inspiration is what I see every day, seeing that we still have a long way to go. We've made some strides and some progress, but there's still so much more. And coming from the DC area, I think of somebody like Jane Kennedy, who was one of like the first to kind of set the pavement for Black women in sports media, and so many that came after. And I want to be that person for somebody else. You know, my favorite quote is, "What we do in life echoes in eternity." That was my high school yearbook quote. And so I think my inspiration is just knowing like so many people like count on you and are believing in you, and you're inspiring people out there and they're looking up to you, and you want to leave the world better than you came into it. And, you know, every day on social media, it's somebody writing me that I'm an inspiration, or a parent saying, "I'm so glad my daughter can look up to you." And for me, that's humbling, because when I do this, you know, I'm only thinking about the job I need to do. And, you know, sometimes you forget how many people are looking at you and you're inspiring them and they want to be like you. And so I need to make sure that, you know, we stand on the shoulders of giants, to whom much is given, much is required. And so I think for me, my inspiration is knowing that I'm required to do a lot more. And as I climb, I need to be bringing up others along the way. And so I think that fuels me, that fuels my purpose and passion. I have some amazing mentees that look to me, you know, for guidance every day. And so that's why I wake up with a purpose and passion every single day. I have students that wake up to me, you know, and make sure that that they can count on me to answer their questions, you know, give them advice in this industry. And then I think the biggest passion for me and my biggest inspiration is that I love storytelling. And there's always a story to be told, and I tell it from a unique perspective, and I want to make sure that somebody out there hears my unique perspective, because I know it's going to resonate with somebody else out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, yeah. So what advice can you give? You know, journalists? I want to be the next. I want to be the next Kelsey, or want to be the next sports. What advice can you give them? I want to be next.
For one, I'd say be the next you, because there's only one version of you. So be true and authentic to yourself, and you're going to hopefully be even better than me, right? Because you're learning so much along the way. So I think my biggest piece of advice, I love these 3 words, is bet on yourself. The reason I say bet on yourself is because you have to take a chance to believe in yourself and believe in your dreams. If you don't take a chance on yourself, how can you expect others to take a chance on you and believe in you, right? It starts within, it starts with you. And so my biggest piece of advice is, when I say bet on yourself, I mean to invest in yourself. That means you need to be getting as much practice as possible in whatever you want to do. So if it's radio, you know, how often are you getting out there and putting your voice on air? For me, I started in radio in college. I worked for a college radio station on top of our South Campus dining hall, WMUC radio, for the University of Maryland. I did podcasts, I did blogging, I would do guest appearance on radio shows. And I kept working until I found my authentic and true voice that I was comfortable projecting to the rest of the world. It means you're investing in yourself through taking certain college classes if you're in school. If you're not in school, are there free classes that you can take? Something I did in my career, I had a voice coach before, learning how to get into my lower register tones, learning how to talk a little bit slower so everyone can follow on with me. It's doing those type of things. Are you investing in a website? Where's your portfolio? Where are you showing your work? Are you investing time into social media? Again, you have to bet on yourself, take a chance on yourself in every single thing that you do. You take a chance every time you put content out there, but you take that chance with the hopes of someone seeing it that can hopefully maybe hire you one day, or pass it along to someone who might hire you one day. So bet on yourself, believe in yourself, and invest in yourself, and always be true and authentic to you.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, sister. I definitely agree with you. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
have you gone and traveled overseas? You know, in sports. You know, I mean, have you come to Boston for the Boston Celtics?
You said, do I root for the Boston Celtics?
Oh, yeah. Do you? Yeah. Have you?
Oh my gosh, no, don't say that at all. I'm in DC. You know I root for the Washington Wizards. But I have love for the Boston Celtics. But yes, I am a Wizards fan. But of course, I mean, I cover the East from growing up in the DC area. I know about all the Celtics greats. But yeah, I'm a DC sports fan and Baltimore sports fan through and through.
Yeah, so I see. Wow. Have you ever come to Boston before for a game?
I have. I've only, it's crazy. I've only been to Boston one time. And I'll tell you, actually, I think in DC, we're thankful for Boston because you guys gave us Paul Pierce for a season in DC, right? With the Washington Wizards. So thank you for that one, Boston. But Boston is a great city. I went up there actually during, right before COVID hit. I was in Boston and a great city. The people were great. The food was great. I stayed in this very nice, like luxurious old hotel. So Boston is just a great city. Like I said, the sports fans are probably one of the most passionate fan bases and sports bases out there, and just great diversity in Boston. So I think Boston was good to me, and it's definitely a place I look forward to coming back to in the future.
Yeah. I love to meet you. I'm a Boston now, so great to meet you in person. Yeah.
Oh my God, I know one day we have to make this happen in person, right? Especially hopefully with COVID. Hopefully COVID goes on the lower levels, just so we can go back to like regular travel again and meeting people at events, or who knows the season, maybe I'll get a chance to go to a Wizards Celtics game, right? We don't know where this will take us.
That'd be wrong. Definitely. So how did COVID affect you? Everything being shut down, was that a big change for you?
I think COVID was a big change for many of us, right? Like especially my generation, we had never lived through like a pandemic like this, right? Like we've read about the Black Plague and, things like that, measles and smallpox, all of that stuff. But I think COVID was a time that we all had to just do this.
Yeah.
We had to take a chance to just sit back and really reflect on ourselves. And so for me, if anything, COVID actually made me work harder because I saw that jobs were paused. So like my sideline opportunities were paused, right? I couldn't cover live sports. And so I had to find new ways to continue to put content out and tell stories and connect with people. And so I had a podcast called Listen In with K&N. And during COVID, we turned it up a notch. We were like, okay, there's no live sports. People want sports content. So we added a live stream version to the show. And so much like we're doing, then our podcast was like watching a video interview, right? And so that added a whole new dimension. And the next thing I know, that app opened up a whole new world of guests that we're booking. And we started to reach out to like top celebrities, and top celebrities started coming on the show. And then their PR people started reaching out to me and stuff. So I think if anything, COVID made me work harder. I was doing even more shows because for one, it was easier to book shows and guests because everybody was home and all they needed to do was have some type of camera so they could do it on their phone, they could do it on their computer or whatever. So I think for me, COVID, and in terms of a work sense, and especially because during COVID, you're working from home, you don't really have a sense of like when to start and stop. So when you're at work, like, when you get there and, sometimes you're counting down to the time you get off. When you're at home, you're just like working nonstop and all day. And so for me, I was, doing my show through Zoom. I was working with the Washington football team. I had to stop going to Ashburn and stop traveling to Ashburn and then start doing all my shows from home, but still finding unique ways to connect with people and tell stories. I think COVID made me just really reinvent myself and innovate to still get content out there. But I think if anything too, COVID really taught me to take time for myself. I think before I was just working this very busy lifestyle, but during COVID, I had more time to exercise, to, grocery shop better and eat right. And just really take time out for me. And for me, I got to catch up on fun things like Netflix shows. And I had never watched Power before COVID. I finally got to watch some episodes of Power. And I feel like kind of be like everybody else, and kind of get that social sense. But I think if anything too, COVID made me even closer to my family, right? We had more quality moments together. And I think COVID really taught us all that you can't take anything for granted and that no day is promised. And so I think COVID made me work harder. It made me love my family even more because we were spending even more time together. And, especially my little sister, since she had to take literally a year of homeschooling and college due to COVID. But then also again, it made me reinvent myself. And I feel like I started pushing out even more content than I was before because I just had time to do more things. I had time to update my website. I had time to book more guests. And so I went from doing one audio show a week to doing 4 podcast shows a week. So everything kind of turned up a notch during COVID. And then even on social media, I remember during COVID, being in just more conversations. We remember watching The Last Dance together, right? And so being in those type of conversations on social media, connecting with just great people and great community, and, even meeting more great mentors and just more great people that I have in my circle today.
That's wonderful to hear, That's, yeah. Yeah. So what are your plans for the rest of the year? I mean, In terms of holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm excited for the holidays. I'm excited to get some good food for Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
If you remember, I told you my family's Southern. So
yeah.
we throw down for holidays.
I
We
know.
we have really good food for holidays, that good Southern cooking. So excited for that. Of course, excited to see my family, excited to see my little sister. You know, she's in her senior year of college. Coming up for me too, job-wise, lots more exciting episodes of Listening with KNN on my show. I also started a show with this football season called The Money Down on the Draft Network. It's a sports betting and advice and tips show that we do every Sunday morning at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time. So exciting to continue to cover that every Sunday before game day, giving people just advice on what to do right before games to hopefully win them some money and player props and things like that. And I have great co-hosts for that. So I hope everyone checks that out. Lots more appearances, lots more panels, and on lots more events I'm hosting. So I always tell everybody, like, coming up, check out my website, KelseyNicoleNelson.com, because there's just a lot of different things that I'll be doing. But I'll be traveling. I have some speeches coming up. I have some panels again coming up, you know, from my former colleges and universities to women in sports panels and so much more. And like I said, just lots of great content, breaking down football season. I talk a lot about the Washington football team and the Ravens on shows. And then for basketball, of course, talking about our Washington Wizards. So just lots of stuff coming up. It's October right now, right? So right now it's a very busy time for me, which again, shout out to you for being flexible with scheduling this interview. But yeah, just basically me doing what I love even more and it turning up like 10 times.
That sounds wonderful. Are you excited for the Super Bowl coming up in January?
Oh my gosh, yes, in LA, we're going to LA. I'm super excited. And I'll tell you, Super Bowl is my absolute favorite event to cover. And I think too, with what we're getting this year for football season, it's anyone's game, right? Like I think this past weekend even just showed that, you know, like the Chiefs right now, I think many people had wrote them right to the Super Bowl, but now if they get there, their road's going to be a lot tougher. Than we see Tom Brady showing age is nothing but a number, right? At 44, just looking like great and making everything look easy. And then lots of great young quarterback talent. We've got Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert. Like, I'm excited for the Super Bowl because I think there's going to be so many great storylines. I think it's going to be two great teams playing, and hopefully we get a good game this year. And also, again, in LA, like I don't think it gets any better than the story that we're building up, especially since we'll be back at full capacity, hopefully, because you know last year with COVID, they had to do COVID protocols. So I think the Super Bowl this year will be big because it will just kind of be us getting back to life as we knew it pre-COVID. So yeah, that's on my countdown list.
Yeah, with you. I'd love to go to California and see the Super Bowl live. You know, that'd be great. You know.
Yeah, like you said, it's just like Super Bowl is just it. It's just fun. I tell you all the time, if you like have a chance, even if you can't go to the games, you know how expensive it is. They do so many fun festivities around Super Bowl that like it's just good to travel to and be in that environment. Like you meet so many like all the athletes and celebs come back. You can see Radio Row, you can get autographs and everything. And like I said, in LA, it's going to be turned up a notch because all the celebrities are going to already be there. So it's going to be on another level this year, basically.
That sounds good. Maybe because I'm going to school in California, so maybe I can come down because I'm taking online classes in California. So maybe I can make it down. It'd be great, you know.
Yeah, you should. Like I said, if you can come to Super Bowl, probably start looking at plane tickets soon.
Yeah.
Because if you wait till the last minute, you're gonna look at those prices and be like, "Ooh, all right, that's kind of expensive." But yeah, Super Bowl just a phenomenal event, and I think the game this year is going to be good because the NFC we're seeing some great teams, and the AFC we're seeing some great teams. So I think I mean, it's still too early to tell right now, but like I mean, who at the beginning of the season had the Arizona Cardinals going undefeated? Thus far in football. Like again, just so many great storylines. You look at someone like Kyler Murray, like you just don't know who's going to get all the way this year.
That's true. Never know. Yeah. Now, are you based down south in Florida?
So I'm actually based in Washington, D.C., okay. Nation's capital. Yes.
Okay. Wow, that's wonderful. Because I heard you say your mother makes good Southern food for Thanksgiving, right? That sounds.
Oh fun. Yeah. So yeah, luckily, I call myself a Southern Belle in the DMV because I grew up here in the DMV, and for those that don't know DMV, that's DC, Maryland, Virginia. That's what we call ourselves. But then I would spend my summers in Jackson, Mississippi, and so I would get kind of the best of the Southern world and the best of the East Coast, and so I feel like I'm a blend. But luckily, because my mom and dad are still in this area, area, I still get that good Southern food. But of course, I'm always, when I get to go back to New Orleans and Mississippi to see my family, good vibes, good people, and even better food. All right. Best food in America is down south. If you want some real good Southern cooking, some real mac and cheese, collard greens, candy yams and stuff, you got to go down south and do it right. So yeah, for the holidays, I'm excited that will be back in my belly.
Yeah, I can't say by myself, you know, I love good food in my belly too, you know, I do.
There you go. See, we got to get you down to New Orleans or somewhere, Jackson, Mississippi for the holidays so we can feed you right.
Yeah, I'd love to come down and have dinner with you.
Of course, let's do it. That'd be so much fun.
I definitely try and make it happen. That'd be a blessing, you know. I'll definitely meet you.
Yeah, let's do it. So I'm all for connecting. Always have to just meet good people with good vibes.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate it. We have to stay in touch, and I promise, you know, definitely. So where do you like to travel when you're not working? What's
That's a good question. That's a really good question because I'll be honest with you, usually I only travel for work. But you know, I love traveling. I really do. Especially now that I've got my, TSA pre-check so I can get through the security line even faster. But I want to go back overseas. And so I'll tell you one place on my bucket list is Africa. I've never been to Africa. South Africa is a place I think, you know, I've seen in pictures and I just want to go back. I did study abroad when I was in high school. So I lived in Italy, France, England, and Monaco. Would love to go back there. All of those are still some of my favorite places. Hawaii's on my bucket list. But I think in terms of where I've been, I always have a good time going to Florida.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong in Florida. Miami, I mean, Orlando, love Disney World. I'm a big kid sometimes. And then New Orleans is always also a great time. Again, good food, good vibes, good people. Atlanta is probably another one of my favorite spots. And then also on the East Coast, I love New York. Like you can't go wrong in New York. There's always something to do in New York. And then also probably on the West Coast, go Michelle Love to everywhere.
Yeah.
Los Angeles was really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, Los Angeles, you know, it's palm trees everywhere and celebs and it was fun. So I love Los Angeles. And honestly, so a place that I went to recently that I'd love to go back to was Bend, Oregon. And I didn't think I would like Bend, Oregon, right? I thought it was like going to be small and like, you know, not as much to do. Complete opposite. It was beautiful there. I got to feed llamas. It was the only place I've been to in America where I've had two things. It was the only place I've been to in America where I got picked up in an Uber and a pickup truck. Did not even know you could get picked up in a pickup truck and an Uber. And it's the only place I've been to where I've had the same Uber driver. Like for 2 days, it was the same Uber driver that picked me up. And I used the app and took me everywhere. But also the best thing about Bend, Oregon, it's where the last Blockbuster is in the entire country. So I got to see that. Super cool. I used to love Blockbuster as a kid. So that was also fun. I like doing like different things. You know, I used to like going, like hiking. And so like in the DMV area with the Appalachian Trail and Harper's Ferry. I love history. So Harper's Ferry is another place I like to kind of go to here, looking at John Brown's Last Stand. And then of course, being a Maryland girl and, you know, we're seafood people and we like the water. I love Ocean City and Virginia Beach. So I like honestly anywhere where there's like a beach or palm trees or just beautiful scenery. That's where you'll find me.
You read my mind, you know, I love seafood. I love the beach. Yeah.
I love seafood too. Like I'm in Maryland, crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does.
You read my mind, you know. You definitely read my mind, you know. I love, you know, the hot weather, you know. I hate the snow, you know. So I'm trying to move to Florida, you know, because you know I want to be in California.
Yeah, get sunshine all the time. Florida's a good, believe me, Florida's a good place. And when you get older, Florida's a good place for retirement. So it might be good to start putting the roots down now, right?
Yeah. Would you want to live in Florida, California, and not? Would you consider moving on there sometime?
You know, that's a good question. And I get asked about that all the time. So I'll tell you, like, to me, there's no place like home. Yeah. And I truly do love DC. And I'll tell you why I love DC. Like, we're the most powerful city in the entire world, the nation's capital. And DC is full of a rich culture and history, right? Like we've got our go-go music, we've got our mumbo sauce, but also a lot of great people came through DC. And I think about somebody like Marion Barry, you know, the late great Marion Barry, our forever mayor in DC. And, you know, I mean, a lot of important decisions happen here in DC. So I really do love DC because DC is like a big but small city. It's like you can walk everywhere in the city if you really wanted to. And there's a lot of important people that come here, but it's like just something unique and special. So I think it would take a lot to get me from DC Disney. I've lived in Charlotte when I worked with NASCAR, but Florida, I'm not going to lie to you, it calls my name because like now, I think I told you I'm coming over a flu sickness.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm like, man, I've had enough snow in my life. I'll trade in the snow for some palm trees. So Florida and California, look, they might be convincing me one day to move down there, just because it's, again, just sunshine and fun people, good food, good vibes. So you never know the future, but honestly, and also job wise, right? If a job calls me up in one of those places, I'd be more than happy to kind of follow that opportunity and kind of, gain a new base and a new following in a new city. So you never know. I guess people will just have to stay tuned.
Wonderful. Also, how do you say that you love Walt Disney World? Me too. I love Disney World.
Yeah, Disney World was so much fun.
Yeah,
like, and then, it's a place for everyone of all ages.
Yes,
And so I'll tell you, I'm afraid of heights, but I can do roller coasters, but not like the ones that go upside down or the ones that go too high. But I feel like Disney has rides for people like me, like rides that, like the safe rides. So the ones that aren't too crazy are scary. And Disney, like, you just feel like you're in another place, right? The hotels are great. The customer service is great. The rides are great. The food is great. So Disney remains one of my top places. After COVID, that will probably be like one of the top places that I go. I can't wait to go back to Disney World and put my Mickey Mouse ears on and rock around the park.
I love to go to the UK. I've been so many times. We could definitely go together. I feel like.
Yeah, I know. So many places to travel to.
I'm trying to go down for Christmas in December. But
oh, nice! Look at you already making plans for it. That's awesome. Probably get some good flight deals too now if you book early enough.
And would you also want to go on a Walt Disney World cruise?
You know what? I've been asking my parents that since I was a kid, and I never got to go. So yes, I would love to do a cruise. I've never done a big cruise. I've only done, so in DC, we have like some local like dinner cruises and stuff that like on the water, but I've never done a big cruise, and the Disney cruise is the first on my list. When I was younger, I don't know if you remember, but they used to send the cruise videos in the mail. And I remember I put them in and like watch those videos and be like, one day I'm going to be there. So yes, that's on my list as well. Disney, if you're out there, feel free to send a girl some tickets to the cruise, because I would love it. It just looks magical, like the food and the movie theaters and the slides on the boat and the dancing that they do. So yeah, I would be more than willing and more than happy to do a Disney cruise. You spoke to childhood me when you said that.
Okay. Please, I'd love to go. Please take me with you, okay? I love to go.
So many travels together, right?
Have you ever gone to Space Mountain? Is that Space Mountain?
I have not done Space Mountain yet. I think, remember the last time I went, I think I wanted to do it, but the line was too long.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about Disney. You have to time your time, right? Because sometimes those lines get super long, especially if you go in the summertime. So if the line's like too long, I'm like, okay, I'll bypass it and just do it next time. So no, I have not been on that yet. That I want to do. And Tower of Terror, I was too scared to do it last time. I'll get the courage to do it next time I go to Disney World.
I wouldn't know. That was kind of scary,
Yeah, anytime the elevator's doing all that,
So you got me on that one. But this sounds great, I mean, going to this world, and just travel. Sounds like a exciting life, That's like the life for me, Eat seafood, this is, I think this is
it was, it is fun, but it's a lot of work. And so I tell people that, I think on social media, people see all the fun parts of our job. They don't see my sleepless nights and the nights I'm going over game notes and creating questions and stuff. And so it is fun, but you work for it. You truly do, and you get what you put in. And so, and even when you're traveling, like, when I travel, like I'm usually traveling for work, and I'll try to make time for fun, but it's a grind. And, for me, it's been a lot of hard work in years put into making this my craft. And so it's important, but also quality time is important. So I do try to get that quality vacation time when I can, with my family, but just know, like, to everyone's story, there's more than what you see on the gram. There's more than what you're just seeing on social media. Like, it's a lot of work you're putting into it, and you work for your money, right? So you want to put it towards good use. So like every time I travel and stuff, that's my treat to myself, for doing what I've always dreamt about.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy for you. The living your dream, Yeah, definitely living your dream, Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how did cost prepare you for this though? Did this help you get the job going to college?
Yes, I think going to college is definitely helpful because in college, one, you're around so many different people.
Mhm.
You hear so many different stories and you have great professors. And at Maryland, I was going to a top journalism school. We have the Shirley Povich Center for Sports Journalism. We've got the Philip H. Merrill College of Journalism. So I'm learning from some of the industry's best. Like my senior year, I'm taking a class with Kevin Blackistone, ESPN's Kevin Blackistone, and I'm learning, from him. And he had a very hard class to get into, limited enrollment. George Solomon, somebody else that's well respected in media. And then also going to grad school, going on to Georgetown University, also great professors and great leaders, that really helped me, become to where I am today. And so I think college just helps you think more.
Yeah.
College helped my writing immensely. I took a journalism 200 class at the University of Maryland where you could have no factual errors. You just couldn't, because otherwise you get a 0 on your work. So it really made you like double check your work and made me become a better editor. I had to take a grammar class at Maryland. That made me so good. And also at Maryland, our journalism program, you had to take different classes in different subjects. So I took a statistics class, right? I took an economics class. Like I feel like college really helped me to become well-rounded, and I'm able to use those different skills. I was in a public policy program at Maryland called the Rawlings Undergraduate Leadership Fellows Program. And so now even, I'm a sports reporter, but also people will call me on to talk about politics and political issues. That's something I'm also well-versed in. I also got my certificate in African-American studies at Maryland. A lot of times too, when race, culture, and politics and sports collide, I'm kind of like the person that is asked to come into that. And I think for me too, because I didn't get to go, where I grew up was diverse, but it could have been more faces like me, especially in my classes. For me at Maryland, especially getting to take my African American studies class, I really got to study my Blackness and Black excellence. And of course I talked about it with my parents, but I got to dive deeper into it. I became a TA for African civilizations. And so I think for me, it really opened my shell. I took more leadership roles on. And then I think college is where you truly find yourself, who you are, what you want to do. And that's when I knew for me, journalism was just my future and my path. And I was going to do whatever was necessary, whatever hard work I needed to put in to make sure that it was not only my calling, but my destination through this journey of life.
Absolutely, because I just graduated from college this year with my social degree in liberal arts, so.
Oh, congratulations! That's awesome. Graduating college is a major accomplishment. So major congrats to you.
Thank you. I'm thinking about going to go and get my bachelor's in filmmaking. Filmmaking. Yeah. So.
Nice, that'd be awesome. Well, I am rooting for you again. A degree is only going to help you. And I tell people all the time, if you're able to do it, do it. And then even with me now, my master's degree is helping me teach. So now I'm also teaching in the classroom and giving back that way as well. So, it goes a long way.
It definitely does, because college is the way I learn about myself. You're right. It helps you get a better job, a better future. You need college, because you follow college. May not. You're right. I'm sure that you have. So that's for
exactly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, and you're also teaching now.
Yeah, so at Doral College, teaching intro to radio and podcasting, got a chance to teach that. So amazing opportunity. And, as someone who works in sports talk radio and podcasting, getting to teach the next generation is incredible and amazing. The students actually had a chance to come out to the last Super Bowl in Miami, and hands-on, do interviews. I got to interview Lawrence Taylor, LT. We're doing the Sirius XM booth on Radio Row. And I think that's the joy and passion. And then also at Georgetown, serving as a capstone advisor, where I'm helping graduate students with their senior capstone papers and presentations. This is what I love and adore. And I think for me, this is when life comes full circle. Going from being a student to working in the industry to now going back in the classroom and teaching, it's been the most fulfilling experience of my entire life. And I'm forever grateful for that. And as much as I teach the students, I think I learn from them. They are the future. They're the ones on TikTok first and telling me what I need to do to finally make my first TikTok, even though I've had the account, and they're full of, innovative ideas. And, at the college I taught at, Doral College, one of the students from there, she's now interning with my show, listening with KNN, so it's amazing the connections that you make and, where these great lens will lead you. But yeah, teaching, it was something that wasn't necessarily my first career plans, but it's something I'm thankful and grateful for every day that I have the opportunity to do.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. Yeah. That's wonderful to hear. You do all this wonderful stuff, amazing stuff,
Yeah,
Wow.
thank you so much. I so much appreciate that. You're doing incredible things as
Thank
well.
you.
So again, I'm so thankful that you reached out to me and, just glad to be able to, share my story with you and your listeners. And, hopefully it touches at least one person out there. Keep going, keep believing in yourself. Your calling is your will, and with your will, you'll make a way for it to happen and for a dream to become a reality.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate it. I'd love to be on your podcast too, learn more about your podcast.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my podcast I've had so many incredible guests. It's amazing to me. I haven't had a repeat guest yet.
Okay.
I just finished recording with Jaiye Taylor, who of course is incredible and amazing on FS1 and Fox Sports Radio. But my podcast has really been a place where I've been able to really establish my voice, and people have been able to really join, me. And join me for me, and I control my podcast. I'm the host, executive producer. I work with my entire graphics team, video team. Like, I'm involved in all elements of it, getting sponsors for that now. So, my podcast has grown beyond my wildest dreams. I started it to make sure that I had a voice in sports talk radio and media. And now it's also providing an opportunity for others. My last intern that I had last year is working as a digital producer now at the Black News Channel. Like, it's amazing when these opportunities not only happen for me, but they're happening for others in my sphere, and it's just been so fun to watch it grow and evolve and develop.
Absolutely, because I think that when we help each other, we all shine together. So I always say we should help each other, because the more
we do. Like we say in DC, everybody eats, and when one shines, we all shine. So completely agree with you.
I definitely agree. This is such a wonderful blessing getting to meet you, learn about your story and everything else. Do you want to ask you some questions now?
Oh, I get to interview you. I didn't even know. Well, okay, let's start with what made you invite me on the show? Like, how did you find out about my work?
Well, I was looking on LinkedIn, and I saw your profile. I was like, wow, this is a wonderful woman.
Thank you.
So impressed by your work, and
Thank you.
I just had a mutual. It was like, wow, she's like me. She loves seafood. She travels, So I was like, wow, this is something I want to definitely meet and connect, So that's why.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do love seafood. I do love to travel. And LinkedIn is actually my favorite social media tool. Like, you meet so many great people on LinkedIn. So I'm glad that brought us together. And then tell me more about what are you hoping to do with sports media and sports broadcasting?
Well, I'm hoping to interview, like maybe Shaquille O'Neal.
Ooh, that'd be nice. And it's going to happen. Don't say maybe. Say, I will interview Shaquille O'Neal. Speak it into existence.
I will interview Shaquille O'Neal, and I was so happy to interview you. I hope that, so I will interview Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. I guess I'll really have a podcast and just go as long as God lets me, because this, it's always been a dream to be able to meet people like yourself and learn the story, and just, and be inspired to talk to so many people like yourself, because it's just a blessing. If I can help somebody like you or anybody put a smile on my face, that's all I need, So that's
amazing. Well, I will be rooting for you. And again, I'm just honored to, share this platform with you. And, thank you so much for having me. And I think you are incredible. I'm glad we have so many great interests in common. And I look forward, of course, to keeping connected with you.
Please do. And hopefully we can travel to Florida together, or whatever you can kind of boss. We can hopefully meet up, I'd love to meet you someday,
Of course, yeah. So we'll keep in contact.
Okay, God bless you, and I will send you an invite tonight, and we'll stay in touch. Okay, and I hope we'll be talking more in the future. I definitely look forward to meeting you. This is a pleasure.
Awesome. I look forward to it too. Stay safe. God bless. And again, thank you so much for your time and for having me. I enjoyed speaking with you. Keep up the great work. Phenomenal job.
I appreciate it. I'll meet you soon. Okay, God bless you.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.